Welcome. For professional exam preparation, tutoring, and study guides, scan the QR code or save the contact information shown on screen. Question 1. How should a hospital network prioritize to vulnerabilities when one has active exploitation and internet exposure during a pilot deployment? A. Fix alphabetically by system name. B. Address the actively exploited internet-facing vulnerability first. C. Patch only systems with the lowest business value. D. Ignore exploit intelligence. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Address the actively exploited internet-facing vulnerability first. Exploit activity and exposure increase likelihood, so they should strongly influence remediation priority. Alphabetical order, ignoring intelligence, and low-value only patching do not reflect risk. Question 2. When a scanner flags a service that is intentionally blocked by compensating controls, what should a university department do while documenting the incident ticket? A. Validate and document whether the finding is a false positive or accepted risk. B. Assume all findings are always exploitable. C. Disable every control around the service. D. Delete the scanner report without review. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Validate and document whether the finding is a false positive or accepted risk. Validation separates true risk from inaccurate or context-limited findings and supports defensible tracking, deleting reports, weakening controls, and assuming exploitability without analysis reduce program quality. Need help preparing for your exam? Scan the QR code or contact us on WhatsApp at +1 716 356 9126. You can also email remote.exam01@gmail.com for professional tutoring and study guides. Question 3. Which control best protects a financial services team's public web app from common HTTP layer attacks as part of a risk reduction project? A. Analog phone splitter. B. Plain FTP server. C. Managed hub. D. Web application firewall. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Web application firewall. AWAF can inspect web requests and block patterns associated with attacks such as injection or cross-site scripting. Phone splitters, hubs, and FTP servers do not provide HTTP application layer protection. Question 4. Which tool should a remote sales group use to detect sensitive customer records leaving through email or uploads before the production rollout? A. DNS round robin only. B. Jumbo frames. C. Data loss prevention. D. Wake on LAN. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Data loss prevention. DLP identifies and can block unauthorized movement of sensitive information. Wake on LAN, DNS balancing, and frame size changes do not inspect sensitive content for exfiltration. Question 5. How can a data analytics unit govern cloud app use and enforce policy between users and SaaS platforms during a service reliability review? A. Serial console cable. B. An encrypted telnet. C. Cloud access security broker. D. Open guest account. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Cloud Access Security Broker. ACASB provides visibility and policy enforcement for cloud service usage. Console cables, telnet, and guest accounts do not govern SaaS access or data controls. Question 6. Which control checks device posture before allowing systems onto a software company's internal network while updating the runbook? A. Public DNS recursion. B. Unlocked server rack. C. Default printer sharing. D. Network access control. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Network access control. NAC can evaluate identity, compliance, and device health before granting network access. Open recursion, printer sharing, and unlock racks do not enforce endpoint admission policy. Question 7. Which firewall approach should a call center use for a sensitive subnet with no stated business need for inbound access for the next maintenance window? A. Allow all traffic and investigate later. B. Disable role logging permanently. C. Permit any source to any destination. D. Default deny with explicit allow rules. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Default deny with explicit allow rules. Default deny limits access to documented and approved flows only. Open rules and disabled logging expand attack paths and reduce visibility. Question 8. Which technology can actively block suspicious network traffic in line for a distribution warehouse during a quarterly review? A. Passive IDs only. B. Intrusion prevention system. C. Paper asset register. D. Cable label maker. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Intrusion prevention system. An IPS sits in line and can block traffic that matches malicious patterns or behavior. A passive IDs alerts only, while asset registers and labels do not block traffic. Question 9. Which platform gives a regional clinic broader endpoint and telemetry correlation beyond traditional EDR while preparing a remediation plan? A. Plain text inventory. B. Managed switch. C. A local only calculator app. D. Extended detection and response. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Extended detection and response. XDR correlates telemetry across multiple security layers to improve detection and response. Inventory text, local utilities, and unmanaged switches do not provide cross-layer security analytics. Question 10. How should a payment processor secure company phones that access business email after a recent audit finding? A. Let users disable all lock screens. B. Use mobile device management to enforce encryption, screen lock, and remote wipe. C. Share one phone for all employees. D. Store passwords in contact names. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use mobile device management to enforce encryption, screen lock, and remote wipe. MDM allows centralized enforcement of mobile security settings and recovery actions. No screen locks, shared phones, and visible passwords weaken mobile access control. Question 11. For personally owned devices at a school district, which approach separates corporate data from personal data during a pilot deployment? A. Containerization or managed work profile. B. Public file sharing. C. Local admin rights for every user. D. Disabling device encryption. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Containerization or managed work profile. Containerization keeps business data managed and separable from personal content. Public sharing, no encryption, and broad administrator rights increase data exposure. Question 12. Which wireless configuration best supports enterprise user authentication at a logistics company while documenting the incident ticket? A. WPA3 Enterprise with 8021X authentication. B. Share WPA password posted publicly. C. WEP for compatibility. D. Open Wisconsin file with no encryption. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. WPA3 Enterprise with 8021X authentication. WPA3 Enterprise with 8021X provides stronger encryption and individual authentication. Open networks, public shared passwords, and WEP are weak or obsolete. Question 13. Before deploying new laptops, which step helps a cloud startup maintain consistent security settings as part of the risk reduction project? A. Disable automatic updates forever. B. Apply a secure baseline image and verify compliance. C. Let each user choose security settings randomly. D. Remove endpoint protection. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Apply a secure baseline image and verify compliance. A baseline image standardizes approved configuration and reduces configuration drift. Random settings, disabled updates, and removed protection create inconsistent and vulnerable endpoints. Question 14. Which method safely analyzes a suspicious attachment received by a manufacturing plant before the production rollout? A. Disable antivirus before testing. B. Forward it to all employees. C. Open it on a production domain controller. D. Open it in a sandboxed analysis environment. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Open it in a sandboxed analysis environment. Sandboxing isolates execution so analysts can observe behavior with reduced risk to production system. Question 15. How can a legal office detect related events across firewalls, endpoints, and identity logs during a service reliability review? A. Use only handwritten notes. B. Use SIEM correlation rules. C. Delete older identity logs. D. Rely on one user's memory. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use SIEM correlation rules. A. SIEM centralizes and correlates logs to identify patterns that individual tools may miss. Manual notes, deleted logs, and memory cannot reliably correlate distributed events. Question 16. Which automation helps a managed service provider respond consistently when phishing is reported while updating the runbook? A. A SOAR playbook that enriches, quarantines, and opens an investigation ticket. B. A disabled mail gateway. C. A manual process stored only in one person's inbox. D. A public spreadsheet of user passwords. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. A SOAR playbook that enriches, quarantines, and opens an investigation ticket. SOAR playbooks automate repeatable response steps and reduce delay during common incidents. Unstructured manual processes, disabled gateways, and exposed passwords undermine response quality. Question 17. How should a retail chain limit standing administrator access to critical systems for the next maintenance window? A. A shared root password. B. Permanent domain admin rights for every technician. C. Privileged access management with just-in-time elevation. D. No approval for privileged sessions. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Privileged access management with just-in-time elevation. PAM and just-in-time access reduce the time and scope of privileged exposure. Permanent broad rights, shared passwords, and no approval weaken accountability and control. Question 18. Which identity approach lets a city agency use one trusted login across multiple cloud applications during a quarterly review? A. Local accounts in every app with different owners. B. Plain text password sharing. C. Anonymous access to all apps. D. Federated single sign-on. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Federated single sign-on. Federated SSO allows applications to trust a central identity provider for authentication. Separate and managed accounts, anonymous access, and password sharing reduce control and visibility. Question 19. A push-based MFA system at a research lab is being abused with repeated prompts. Which improvement helps while preparing a remediation plan? A. Tell users to approve every prompt. B. Number matching or phishing resistant MFA. C. Make passwords shorter. D. Turn off MFA for all users. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Number matching or phishing resistant MFA. Number matching and phishing resistant methods reduce accidental approvals and push fatigue risk. Disabling MFA, approving every prompt, and shorter passwords weaken authentication. Question 20. When an employee leaves an insurance firm, which EM process must happen quickly after a recent audit finding? A. Increase the user's privileges. B. Deprovision accounts and revoke active sessions. C. Forward credentials to the new hire. D. Keep VPN access active indefinitely. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Deprovision accounts and revoke active sessions. Timely deprovisioning prevents former users from accessing systems after separation. More privileges, credential sharing, and indefinite access create avoidable risk. Question 21. Which log management practice helps a hospital network support investigations and compliance during a pilot deployment? A. Store logs only in volatile memory. B. Define retention periods and protect logs from unauthorized modification. C. Allow anyone to edit logs. D. Delete logs before incidents are reviewed. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Define retention periods and protect logs from unauthorized modification. Retention and integrity controls preserve evidence and make investigation timelines more reliable. Editable, volatile, or prematurely deleted logs weaken accountability and compliance. Question 22. During incident response at a university department, which step focuses on stopping further damage after detection while documenting the incident ticket? A. Marketing review. B. Containment. C. Routine onboarding. D. Procurement. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Containment. Containment isolates affected accounts, hosts, or network paths to limit the incident's spread. Procurement, marketing, and onboarding are business activities outside the immediate incident control phase. Question 23. Which practice preserves evidence integrity when a financial services team collects a laptop for forensics as part of a risk reduction project? A. Let multiple people use the laptop casually. B. Store evidence with no labels. C. Wipe the drive before imaging. D. Maintain chain of custody documentation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is E. Maintain chain of custody documentation. Chain of custody records who handled evidence, when it was handled, and how it was protected. Casual use, wiping, and unlabeled storage undermine evidence reliability. Question 24. After restoring service, what should a remote sales group perform to prevent the same incident from recurring before the production rollout? A. Cancel all future testing. B. Root cause analysis. C. Ignore the original weakness. D. Delete lessons learned notes. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Root cause analysis. Root cause analysis identifies the underlying issue and informs corrective action. Ignoring weaknesses, deleting notes, and canceling tests make recurrence more likely. Question 25. Which activity best describes threat hunting at a data analytics unit during a service reliability review? A. Waiting only for users to complain. B. Proactively searching telemetry for signs of compromise based on a hypothesis. The answer is B. Proactively searching telemetry for signs of compromise based on a hypothesis. Threat hunting is proactive and hypothesis driven rather than only alert driven. Passive waiting, disabled alerts, and unreviewed changes reduce detection capability. Question 26. Which backup strategy improves a software company's ransomware resilience while updating the runbook? A. Maintain offline or immutable backups tested through restoration. B. Never test restores. C. Keep the only backup mounted to every workstation. D. Store backups on the infected server only. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Maintain offline or immutable backups tested through restoration. Immutable or offline backups resist alteration by malware and restore testing confirms recoverability. Always mounted, untested, or same server backups may fail during ransomware recovery. Question 27. If a call center can lose at most 15 minutes of data, which metric is being defined for the next maintenance window? A. Mean time between failures. B. Recovery point objective. C. Mean time to repair. D. Annualized rate of occurrence. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Recovery point objective. RPO defines the maximum acceptable amount of data loss measured in time. MTBF, MTTR, and RO describe reliability, repair time, and likelihood rather than data loss tolerance. Question 28. Which recovery site should a distribution warehouse choose when it needs near immediate failover with running infrastructure during a quarterly review? A. Cold site. B. Unpowered storage closet. C. Hot site. D. Empty office suite. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Hot site. A hot site has systems and connectivity ready for rapid failover. Cold or empty locations require significant setup and cannot provide near immediate recovery. Question 29. Why would a regional clinic place multiple web servers behind a load balancer while preparing a remediation plan? A. To store encryption keys and cookies. B. To remove the need for patching. C. To distribute traffic and improve service availability. D. To make passwords optional. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. To distribute traffic and improve service availability. Load balancing spreads requests and can route around failed servers. Patching, authentication, and key management remain necessary regardless of load balancing. Question 30. Which power control helps a payment processor handle short utility outages for network equipment after a recent audit finding? A. Expired TLS certificate. B. Open wireless network. C. Uninterruptible power supply. D. Flat LAN design. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Uninterruptible power supply. A UP supplies temporary power and can bridge short outages or allow graceful shutdown. Open Wisconsin Phi. Question 31. How should a school district secure infrastructure as code templates before deployment during a pilot deployment? A. Scan templates for misconfigurations and require code review. B. Deploy templates directly from personal laptops without review. C. Disable version control. D. Hardcode secrets in every template. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Scan templates for misconfigurations and require code review. EX scanning and review catch insecure settings before they become live infrastructure. Unreviewed deployments, hard-coded secrets, and no version control increase cloud risk. Question 32. Which step reduces risk from vulnerable container images in a logistics company's registry while documenting the incident ticket? A. Scan images and rebuild from trusted base images. B. Store secrets in image layers. C. Ignore image agent source. D. Run every container as privileged by default. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Scan images and rebuild from trusted base images. Image scanning and trusted rebuilds help remove known vulnerabilities and unsafe components. Privileged containers, ignored provenance, and secrets in layers increase compromise impact. Question 33. In a public cloud deployment, which statement about shared responsibility is accurate for a cloud startup as part of a risk reduction project? A. The provider handles every customer password. B. No one is responsible for identity controls. C. The customer maintains the provider's physical data center. D. The provider secures the underlying cloud, while the customer secures configured workloads and data. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. The provider secures the underlying cloud, while the customer secures configured workloads and data. Shared responsibility divides duties between the cloud provider and the customer based on service model. Passwords, physical facilities, and identity controls cannot be ignored or assigned incorrectly. Question 34. Which remote access design gives a manufacturing plant stronger access control than exposing admin ports to the internet before the production rollout? A. Publish SSH private keys. B. Use a VPN or zero trust access broker with MFA. C. Expose RDP to any source. D. Disable logging for remote sessions. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use a VPN or zero trust access broker with MFA. Controlled remote access with strong authentication reduces exposure of administrative services. Open admin ports, exposed keys, and disabled logs increase the chance and impact of compromise. Question 35. Which classification should a legal office apply to payroll data before choosing safeguards during a service reliability review? A. Discarded test data with no controls. B. Anonymous weather data. C. Sensitive or confidential. D. Public marketing content. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Sensitive or confidential. Payroll records contain personal and financial information that requires stronger protection. Public, discarded, or anonymous labels understate the sensitivity of payroll data. Question 36. How should a managed service provider protect database files stored on cloud volumes while updating the runbook? A. Store all files world readable. B. Use encryption at rest with controlled key access. C. Disable access logs. D. Use guest accounts for database administrators. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use encryption at rest with controlled key access. Encryption at rest protects stored data if media or snapshots are exposed, while key access controls limit use. World readable files, no logs, and guest administration weaken confidentiality and accountability. Question 37. Which key management practice is strongest for retail chains? High-value signing keys for the next maintenance window. A. Store and manage keys in an HSM with rotation procedures. B. Place keys in public code repositories. C. Email private keys to administrators. D. Reuse one key forever. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Store and manage keys in an HSM with rotation procedures. An HSM helps protect private keys from extraction and supports controlled cryptographic operations. A mailing, never rotating, or publishing keys destroys the trust those keys provide. Question 38. Which analysis helps a city agency identify critical processes and acceptable downtime during a quarterly review? A. Packet fragmentation test. B. Business impact analysis. C. War driving survey. D. Password reuse check only. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Business impact analysis. ABA maps business processes to impact, recovery priorities, and downtime tolerance. Wireless surveys, fragmentation tests, and password checks do not define business recovery priorities. Question 39. Which document should a research lab maintain to track identified risks, owners, likelihood, impact, and treatment plans while preparing a remediation plan? A. Risk register. B. DHCP lease file only. C. Cable crimper. D. Wallpaper policy. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Risk register. A risk register documents risk details and supports ongoing management and accountability. Hardware tools, lease files, and cosmetic policies do not track organizational risk treatment. Question 40. Which risk strategy is used when an insurance firm buys cyber insurance for certain financial losses after a recent audit finding? A. Risk transference. B. Risk acceptance only. C. Risk ignoring. D. Risk avoidance by deleting all systems. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Risk transference. Insurance transfers part of the financial impact to another party under defined conditions. Acceptance keeps the risk. Avoidance eliminates the activity. And ignoring is not a valid management strategy. Question 41. After remediation, a hospital network still has a small remaining exposure approved by leadership. What is this called during a pilot deployment? A. Residual risk. B. False encryption. The answer is A. Residual risk. Residual risk is the risk that remains after controls or treatments are applied. Zero risk is unrealistic. False encryption is not a standard risk term, and broadcast storm is a network condition. Question 42. Which due diligence item should a university department request from a vendor that will host sensitive data while documenting the incident ticket? A. Security questionnaire, audit report, and data handling commitments. B. A shared administrator password. C. Permission to bypass contractual review. D. A promise to avoid all documentation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Security questionnaire, audit report, and data handling commitments. Vendor due diligence evaluates whether the third party can protect data and meet obligations. No documentation, shared credentials, and bypassed review increase third party risk. Question 43. Which agreement defines expected uptime and response targets for a financial services team's managed security provider as part of a risk reduction project? A. Open guest Wi-Fi policy. B. Service level agreement. C. Personal text message. D. Password hint list. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Service level agreement, and SLA documents measurable service expectations such as uptime, response time, and escalation commitments. Informal messages, Wi-Fi policies, and password hints do not establish service performance terms. Question 44. Before sharing proprietary designs with a consultant, which document should a remote sales group require before the production rollout? A. Public press release. B. Non-disclosure agreement. C. Default root or password list. D. Open source license for all data. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Non-disclosure agreement. An NDA creates confidentiality obligations for information shared with the consultant. Press releases, broad open licensing, and password lists do not protect proprietary information. Question 45. Which contract clause helps a data analytics unit verify a vendor security controls over time during a service reliability review? A. No logging requirement. B. Unlimited anonymous access. C. Permanent waiver of review. D. Right to audit. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Right to audit. A right to audit clause allows the organization to assess or verify vendor controls according to the agreement. Anonymous access, no logs, and review waivers reduce oversight. Question 46. How should a software company reduce privacy risk when collecting customer data while updating the runbook? A. Collect only the data needed for a defined business purpose. B. Publish customer records for testing. C. Store data forever without review. D. Collect every possible field just in case. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Collect only the data needed for a defined business purpose. Data minimization limits exposure by reducing unnecessary collection and retention. Over. Question 47. Which assessment is performed by an independent party to evaluate a call center's controls for the next maintenance window? A. External audit. B. Uncontrolled self-editing of logs. C. Casual hallway conversation. D. Unplanned production reboot. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. External audit. An external audit uses an independent reviewer to assess control design or operation. Self-edited logs, informal conversations, and reboots are not independent control assessments. Question 48. Which training outcome is most useful after a distribution warehouse runs a phishing simulation during a quarterly review? A. Managers disable security reporting. B. Employees recognize suspicious messages and report them through the approved channel. C. Users store passwords in email drafts. D. Employees learn to approve unknown MFA prompts. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Employees recognize suspicious messages and report them through the approved channel. Awareness training should improve recognition and reporting of social engineering attempts, approving prompts, storing passwords in drafts, and disabling reporting undermine security culture. Question 49. How should cloud engineer protect confidentiality when a regional clinic shares regulated reports with a contractor while preparing a remediation plan? A. Send the files through an unsigned public link. B. Encrypt the files and restrict access to authorized recipients. C. Publish the files on an internal wiki. D. Store the files without permissions for faster access. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Encrypt the files and restrict access to authorized recipients. Encryption and access control reduce the chance that sensitive data is viewed by unauthorized users. Open sharing, weak permissions, and public links expose the data instead of protecting confidentiality. Question 50. Which control best supports integrity when a payment processor needs proof that a downloaded firmware image was not altered after a recent audit finding? A. Compare the vendor provided hash with the downloaded file hash. B. Disable logging during the firmware upgrade. C. Rename the firmware file after download. D. Compress the firmware before installation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Compare the vendor provided hash with the downloaded file hash. A cryptographic hash changes when the file changes, making it useful for validating integrity. Compression, renaming, and disabling logs do not prove that the file contents remained unchanged. Need help preparing for your exam? Scan the QR code or contact us on WhatsApp at +1 716 356 9126. You can also email remote.exam01@mail.com for professional tutoring and study guides. Question 51. Why would a school district deploy redundant power and clustering for the database cluster during a pilot deployment? A. To make stored data anonymous. B. To replace incident response planning. The answer is C. To improve availability during component failures. Redundancy allows a service to continue operating when a single component fails. Authentication, anonymization, and incident response address different security goals and do not directly provide high availability. Question 52. When a logistics company needs proof that an administrator approved a critical change, which mechanism is strongest while documenting the incident ticket? A digitally signed approval record. B. A shared administrator password. C. A verbal approval with no record. D. A deleted change ticket. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A digitally signed approval record. Digital signatures support non-repudiation because they bind approval to a specific signer and protect the record from undetected modification. Shared passwords, verbal approval, and deleted records weaken accountability. Question 53. A help desk at a cloud startup must distinguish authentication from authorization. Which statement is accurate as part of the risk reduction project? A. Authorization replaces logging for privileged accounts. B. Authorization proves a user's identity with a password. C. Authentication assigns file permissions after login. D. Authentication verifies identity, while authorization determines allowed actions. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Authentication verifies identity, while authorization determines allowed actions. Authentication answers who the user is, and authorization answers what the verified user may access. Permissions alone do not verify identity. Passwords are authentication factors, and logging remains part of accountability. Question 54. During a zero trust rollout for a manufacturing plant, which design principle should guide access to the production subnet before the production rollout? A. Disable MFA to reduce login friction. B. Place every system on one flat internal VLAN. C. Continuously verify identity, device posture, and context before allowing access. D. Trust all users once they are on the corporate network. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Continuously verify identity, device posture, and context before allowing access. Zero trust assumes no implicit trust and evaluates access requests based on verified signals. Network location alone, weaker authentication, and flat segmentation conflict with zero trust principles. Question 55. Which example is a preventive technical control for a legal office's customer portal during a service reliability review? A. A weekly executive risk report. B. A firewall rule that blocks unauthorized inbound traffic. C. A CCTV recording reviewed after theft. D. A policy document stored in the HR portal. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. A firewall rule that blocks unauthorized inbound traffic. A firewall rule can technically prevent unwanted traffic before it reaches the service. Reports, recordings, and policy documents are useful, but they do not directly prevent traffic at the technical boundary. Question 56. After suspicious activity appears in a managed service provider's logs, which control acts primarily as detective while updating the runbook? A. Disk encryption on laptops. B. A door badge reader that controls entry. C. A password complexity policy. D. SIEM correlation that alerts on abnormal events. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. SIEM correlation that alerts on abnormal events. SIEM alerting identifies and reports events that may require investigation. Encryption, badge access, and password policy are mainly protective or preventive rather than detective. Question 57. If the retail chain cannot immediately replace a legacy system, which approach is a compensating control for the next maintenance window? A. Place the system on an isolated VLAN with strict firewall rules. B. Give all users local administrator rights. C. Ignore the weakness until the next budget cycle. D. Disable backups to reduce system load. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Place the system on an isolated VLAN with strict firewall rules. A compensating control reduces risk when the preferred control cannot be implemented right away. Ignoring the issue, expanding privileges, and disabling backups increase operational and security exposure. Question 58. Which item is a directive control during a city agency security awareness program during a quarterly review? A. An IPS blocking malicious traffic. B. A backup server replicating data. C. A written policy requiring users to report suspected phishing. D. A honeypot collecting attacker behavior. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. A written policy requiring users to report suspected phishing. Directive controls tell people what actions or behavior are required. IPS, honeypots, and backups are technical controls that detect, deceive, or recover rather than direct behavior. Question 59. Why might a research lab deploy honeypot inside a monitored lab network while preparing a remediation plan? A. To guarantee malware cannot enter the network. B. To store production credentials for faster login. C. To observe attacker behavior against a decoy system. D. To replace all endpoint protection tools. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. To observe attacker behavior against a decoy system. A honeypot is a deception technology that attracts or monitors suspicious activity in a controlled environment. It should not contain real credentials, replace layered defenses, or be treated as a guarantee against malware. Question 60. Before changing firewall rules for an insurance firm's production subnet, which change management item is most important after a recent audit finding? A. An informal chat message with no ticket. B. Documented approval, testing plan, rollback plan, and implementation window. C. Immediate production changes without review. D. A password reset for every employee. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Documented approval, testing plan, rollback plan, and implementation window. Formal change management reduces outage and security risk by requiring review, testing, scheduling, and rollback planning. Informal approval, unreviewed production changes, and unrelated password resets do not control the change safely. Question 61. During a software release at a hospital network, which practice best supports accountability for configuration changes during a pilot deployment? The answer is D. Use version control with commit history and reviewed pull requests. Version control preserves change history and associates updates with identifiable contributors and reviewers. Single device storage, shared accounts, and removed history make changes harder to trace. Question 62. Which PKI component lets a university department's browsers verify that a server certificate chains to a trusted issuer while documenting the incident ticket? A. Broadcast domain. B. Certificate authority. C. Wireless access point. D. Packet sniffer. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Certificate authority. A certificate authority issues and signs certificates that clients can validate through a trust chain. Access points, broadcast domains, and packet sniffers do not establish certificate trust. Question 63. How does asymmetric encryption help a financial services team exchange data securely with external partners as part of a risk reduction project? A. It stores all private keys in DNS records. B. It uses one shared password for every partner. C. It removes the need for certificate validation. D. It uses a public key and a private key for encryption-related operations. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. It uses a public key and a private key for encryption-related operations. Asymmetric cryptography uses key pairs, allowing secure exchange and verification without sharing the private key, shared passwords, skipped validation, and public storage of private keys weaken trust and confidentiality. Question 64. Which method should a remote sales group use to store user passwords more safely before the production rollout? A. Plain text storage in a protected spreadsheet. B. Reversible encryption with the key beside the database. C. Salted and slow cryptographic password hashing. D. Base 64 encoding before saving the password. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Salted and slow cryptographic password hashing. Salting and slow password hashing make password cracking more difficult if the database is stolen. Plain text, poorly managed reversible encryption, and encoding do not provide appropriate password storage protection. Question 65. Why is a unique salt added before hashing passwords for a data analytics unit's account database during a service reliability review? A. It replaces the need for MFA. B. It turns a hash into reversible encryption. C. It allows administrators to recover forgotten passwords. D. It prevents identical passwords from producing identical stored hashes. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. It prevents identical passwords from producing identical stored hashes. A salt makes pre-computed hash attacks and duplicate password identification less effective. Salting does not enable recovery, replace MFA, or make a hash reversible. Question 66. Which cryptographic feature should a software company use to verify both message integrity and sender authenticity while updating the runbook? A. Screen lock timer. B. Load balancer. C. Digital signature. D. Guest VLAN. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Digital signature. A digital signature validates that the message was signed by the private key holder and has not changed. A. VLAN, load balancer, and screen lock do not provide cryptographic proof of sender and content integrity. Question 67. When a call center wants to process payments without storing actual card numbers, which technique is most appropriate for the next maintenance window? A. Tokenization. B. Password spraying. C. Port forwarding. D. Screen sharing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Tokenization. Tokenization replaces sensitive values with tokens that have limited meaning outside the payment system. Screen sharing and port forwarding do not reduce stored payment data exposure, while password spraying is an attack. Question 68. For a training screenshot at a distribution warehouse, which method hides sensitive fields while preserving the document format during a quarterly review? A. ARP spoofing. B. Data masking. C. Tailgating. D. Open relay configuration. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Data masking. Data masking conceals sensitive values while keeping realistic structure for training or testing. ARP spoofing, open relays, and tailgating are security risks, not privacy-preserving data handling methods. Question 69. After a regional clinic's file shares are encrypted and a payment note appears, which first response is most appropriate while preparing a remediation plan? A. Isolate affected systems and preserve evidence for recovery. B. Pay immediately without validating backups. C. Delete all logs to free disk space. D. Reconnect infected hosts to verify spread. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Isolate affected systems and preserve evidence for recovery. Isolation limits further ransomware impact, while evidence preservation supports investigation and recovery decisions. Immediate payment, log deletion, and reconnecting infected hosts can worsen the incident or destroy useful evidence. Question 70. A user at a payment processor receives an email urging immediate password verification through a lookalike login page. Which attack is most likely after a recent audit finding? A. Smurf attack. B. Bluejacking. C. Phishing. D. Port scanning. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Phishing. Phishing uses deceptive messages and spoof pages to trick users into giving up credentials or sensitive information. Bluejacking, Smurf attacks, and port scanning describe different technical activities. Question 71. Which clue best indicates spear phishing against an executive at a school district during a pilot deployment? A. A routine patch notification from the approved portal. B. A broadcast. The answer is D. A highly personalized email referencing a real project and asking for urgent action. Spear phishing targets a specific person or role using tailored details. Question 72. During a phone call, an attacker claims to be at support and asks a user at a logistics company for an MFA code. Which term fits best while documenting the incident ticket? A. DNS tunneling. B. Vishing. C. Pretexting through USB. D. Smishing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Vishing. Vishing is voice-based social engineering that uses phone calls to manipulate victims. Smishing uses text messages. USB pretexting is not the best label here, and DNS tunneling is a network technique. Question 73. If employees at a cloud startup receive text messages linking to fake payroll login, which threat vector is being used as part of the risk reduction project? A. War driving, B. VLAN hopping, C. Password salting, D. Smishing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Smishing. Smishing is phishing delivered through SMS or text messaging. VLAN hopping and war driving are network attacks, while password salting is a defensive storage technique. Question 74. Which action best reduces supply chain risk before a manufacturing plant adopts a new software vendor before the production rollout? A. Review the vendor's security controls, update process, and contractual obligations. B. Disable software updates permanently. C. Use the vendor's default admin password. D. Skip vendor review because the product is popular. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Review the vendor's security controls, update process, and contractual obligations. Vendor assessment helps identify risks introduced by third-party software and support processes. Popularity, default credentials, and disabled updates leave supply chain weaknesses unmanaged. Question 75. How can a legal office better detect a trusted employee abusing access to the database cluster during a service reliability review? A. Move the asset to public internet access. B. Monitor behavior for anomalous activity tied to the user's normal baseline. C. Give the employee additional shared accounts. D. Disable all logging for privacy. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Monitor behavior for anomalous activity tied to the user's normal baseline. User and entity behavior analytics can reveal insider activity that differs from expected patterns. Reduced logging, shared accounts, and public exposure make abuse harder to detect and contain. Question 76. When staff at a managed service provider use an unsanctioned file sharing app for customer records, which issue is present while updating the runbook? A. Immutable backup. B. Shadow it. C. Certificate pinning. D. Network tap. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Shadow it. Shadow it occurs when users adopt technology without organizational approval or governance. Certificate pinning, immutable backups, and network taps describe approved technical mechanisms, not unsanctioned service use. Question 77. Which attack uses stolen username password pairs from one breach to try logins at a retail chain's portal for the next maintenance window? A. Credential stuffing. B. Authentication flood. C. Birthday attack. D. DNS zone transfer. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Credential stuffing. Credential stuffing relies on reused credentials from other breaches to gain access to different services. Birthday attacks target hash collisions. Zone transfers expose DNS data. And authentication floods target wireless availability. Question 78. An attacker tries a few common passwords against many accounts at a city agency. Which attack is most likely during a quarterly review? A. Password spraying. B. SQL injection. C. Pass the ticket. D. MAC filtering. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Password spraying. Password spraying avoids rapid lockout by testing common passwords across many accounts. Pass the ticket abuses Kerberos tickets. SQL injection targets applications. And MAC filtering is a weak access control method. Question 79. After obtaining an NTLM hash at a research lab, an attacker authenticates without knowing the plain text password. Which attack is shown while preparing a remediation plan? A. Pass the hash. B. Key stretching. C. Rainbow table prevention. D. ARP inspection. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Pass the hash. Pass the hash uses captured password hashes as authentication material in compatible environments. ARP inspection and key stretching are defenses, while rainbow table prevention describes a protection goal, not the attack. Question 80. which control most directly reduces risk from stolen passwords at an insurance firm's remote access portal after a recent audit finding a larger wireless channel with B, a public file share, C, multi-factor authentication, D, longer DHCP leases. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C, multi-factor authentication. MFA requires another proof beyond the password, reducing the usefulness of stolen credentials. DHCP leases, channel width, and public sharing do not strengthen authentication. Question 81. A web format, a hospital network concatenates user input into SQL queries. Which secure coding practice is best during a pilot deployment? A. Allow every character without validation. B. Hide error messages only after deployment. C. Use parameterized queries. D. Run the database as a domain administrator. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is you use parameterized queries. Parameterized queries separate code from user supply data, reducing SQL injection risk, unrestricted input, superficial error hiding, and excessive database privileges leave the application exposed. Question 82. Which defense best reduces reflected script execution in a university department's web application while documenting the incident ticket? A. Static routing only. B. Output encoding and input validation. C. Open SNMP commute. The answer is B. Output encoding and input validation. Cross-site scripting risk is reduced when entrusted input is validated and safely encoded before rendering. SNMP strings, static routing, and disabled backups do not address browser script injection. Question 83. How should a financial services team protect a state-changing web request from forged browser submissions as part of a risk reduction project? A. Move the server to a larger subnet. B. Require users to clear browser history daily. C. Increase the DNS-TTL. D. Use anti-CSRF tokens tied to the user session. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Use anti-CSRF tokens tied to the user session. Anti-CSRF tokens help verify that a request came from the legitimate application flow. DNS-TTL, subnet size, and browser history clearing do not validate request intent. Question 84. A cloud app at a remote sales group can be tricked into requesting the metadata service URL. Which vulnerability is most likely before the production rollout? A. LDAP signing. B. MAC flooding. C. Data tokenization. D. Server-side request forgery. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Server-side request forgery. SSRF causes a server to make unintended requests, often to internal or metadata endpoints. MAC flooding targets switches. LDAP signing is a protection, and tokenization is a data protection method. Question 85. Which control best reduces path traversal in a data analytics unit's file download feature during a service reliability review? A. Place database backups in the web root. B. Disable TLS on the site. C. Normalize and validate file paths against an allowed directory. D. Use shared local administrator accounts. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is E. Normalize and validate file paths against an allowed directory. Path validation prevents requests such as parent directory traversal from reaching unauthorized files. Disabling TLS, exposing backups, and shared admin accounts create additional security problems. Question 86. For a legacy application at a software company, which feature helps reduce buffer overflow exploitation while updating the runbook? A. Larger email attachments. B. Longer DHCP lease times. C. A flat network topology. D. Address space layout randomization and data execution prevention. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Address space layout randomization and data execution prevention. ASLR and department make memory exploitation harder by randomizing locations and preventing execution in data regions. Attachment size, flat networks, and DHCP leases do not mitigate memory corruption. Question 87. A public site for a call center is overwhelmed by traffic from thousands of sources. Which mitigation is strongest for the next maintenance window? A. Publish database credentials for transparency. B. Move all backups to the web server. C. Disable MFA for administrators. D. Use DDoS scrubbing or CDN-based protection. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Use DDoS scrubbing or CDN-based protection. DDoS protection absorbs or filters large attack traffic before it reaches the origin service. Weakening administration and exposing credentials or backups increases risk without addressing traffic volume. Question 88. Which control helps prevent an on-path attacker from reading credentials to distribution warehouses portal during a quarterly review? A. Enforce modern TLS with certificate validation. B. Use plain HTTP for faster loading. C. Share a single account for all users. D. Allow expired certificates. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Enforce modern TLS with certificate validation. TLS with valid certificates encrypts traffic and helps clients verify the server identity. Plain HTTP, expired certificates, and shared accounts make credential interception or misuse more likely. Question 89. An attacker on a regional clinic's LAN sends fake ARP replies to intercept traffic. Which protection is relevant while preparing a remediation plan? A. Dynamic ARP inspection. B. Password history. C. Data masking. D. Email journaling. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Dynamic ARP inspection. Dynamic ARP inspection helps block malicious ARP responses based on trusted bindings. Email journaling, masking, and password history do not validate ARP traffic. Question 90. Which measure helps reduce DNS cache poisoning risk for a payment processor after a recent audit finding? A. Route all traffic through Telnet. B. Use secure DNS practices such as DNS SEC validation and patch resolvers. C. Reuse default router passwords. D. Disable endpoint logging. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use secure DNS practices such as DNS SEC validation and patched resolvers. DNS SEC validation and maintained resolvers help detect or prevent forged DNS data. Less logging, default passwords, and Telnet weaken security and do not protect DNS integrity. Question 91. A user at a school district joins a fake Wi-Fi network imitating the office SSID. Which attack is most likely during a pilot deployment? A. Logic bomb. B. Blue team exercise. C. Evil twin. D. Directory traversal. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Evil twin. An evil twin is a rogue wireless network made to look legitimate so users connect to it. Logic bombs and traversal attacks are different threats, while a blue team exercise is defensive. Question 92. Which step helps a logistics company find unauthorized wireless access points while documenting the incident ticket? A. Increase password reuse. B. Perform wireless scans and compare findings to the approved inventory. C. Disable all switch logs. D. Use only shared local accounts. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Perform wireless scans and compare findings to the approved inventory. Wireless scanning detects access points that are not part of the approved environment. Reduced logging, shared accounts, and passwords. Question 93. A workstation at a cloud startup shows kernel-level persistence after malware removal attempts. Which response is safest as part of a risk reduction project? A. Give the user domain admin rights. B. Trust the same infected operating system to clean itself. C. Add the malware folder to antivirus exclusions. D. Reimage the system from trusted media after preserving evidence. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Reimage the system from trusted media after preserving evidence. Root-like persistence can hide from normal tools, so trusted reimaging provides a cleaner recovery path. Self-cleaning from the infected OS, antivirus exclusions, and extra privileges increase risk. Question 94. Which tool category helps a manufacturing plant detect suspicious process behavior across endpoints before the production rollout? A. Analog modem. B. Endpoint detection and response. C. Cable toner only. D. Label printer. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Endpoint detection and response. EDR monitors endpoint activity and can detect, investigate, and respond to suspicious behavior. Modems, label printers, and cable toners do not provide endpoint behavioral security monitoring. Question 95. How should a legal office reduce risk from a critical vulnerability with active exploitation during a service reliability review? A. Prioritize patching or mitigation based on severity, exposure, and exploitability. B. Patch only systems with no network access. C. Disable vulnerability reporting. D. Delay action until every low-risk issue is closed. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Prioritize patching or mitigation based on severity, exposure, and exploitability. Risk-based prioritization focuses remediation on flaws most likely to be exploited and most damaging. Low-risk first patching, isolated only patching, and disabled reporting fail to address urgent exposure. Question 96. Which practice best hardens a new server image for a managed service provider while updating the runbook? A. Apply a secure baseline that disables unnecessary services and enforces approved settings. B. Leave vendor credentials unchanged. C. Turn off audit logging permanently. D. Install every optional service by default. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Apply a secure baseline that disables unnecessary services and enforces approved settings. Hardening reduces attack surface by removing unnecessary functions and enforcing secure configuration. Extra services, default credentials, and disabled audit logs increase compromise and investigation risk. Question 97. Which access model should a retail chain apply to reduce unnecessary privileges on the customer portal for the next maintenance window? A. Open relay. B. Shared ownership for all files. C. Implicit trust. D. Least privilege. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Least privilege. Least privilege gives users and services only the access needed for their roles. Implicit trust, open relays, and broad shared ownership increase access beyond business need. Question 98. Why should a city agency separate guest Wi-Fi from internal systems during a quarterly review? A. Segmentation limits what guest devices can reach. B. It guarantees all guests are malware-free. C. It removes the need for encryption. D. It lets guests administer domain controllers. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Segmentation limits what guest devices can reach. Segmentation creates boundaries that reduce lateral movement and protect internal resources. It does not prevent endpoint health, replace encryption, or justify administrative access. Question 99. After malware is detected on a laptop at a research lab, which immediate containment step is appropriate while preparing a remediation plan? A. Connect it to every file share for testing. B. Quarantine the device from the network. C. Disable all security tools. D. Copy unknown executables to production servers. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Quarantine the device from the network. Quarantine reduces the chance of spread while investigators determine scope and impact. Broad reconnection, disabled tools, and moving executables into production increase exposure. Question 100. Which vulnerabilities can type gives an insurance firm deeper configuration findings on authenticated servers after a recent audit finding? A. Uncredentialed external ping only. B. Phishing simulation only. C. Screen capture scan. D. Credentialed scan. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Credentialed scan. Credentialed scanning can inspect installed software, patches, and configuration settings from inside the host. Ping-only tests, screenshots, and phishing exercises do not provide the same host-level vulnerability detail. Thank you for watching. For professional exam preparation, tutoring, and study guides, scan the QR code or use the contact information shown on screen.